Would I have permissions to share the slides on this presentation?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
We are live.
A very warm welcome to everyone who's joined us today, our special guests, and all our viewers for the YouTube live event Enabling India. Today, on December 3, on the occasion of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we at Atal Innovation Mission
I think Dipali is facing some technical issues, but
Ali can
I
come to
welcome.
the room if she'd like.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll just give her a minute and then continue.
sure. Or I can get us going. So let me know. So today on December 3rd, we have Dipali back. So over to you, Dipali.
audible now. Sorry for the
Yes,
interruption.
no problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, like I was saying, we have an esteemed panel with us today, and on the occasion of December 3, International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we at Atal Innovation Mission have collaborated with Ministry of Education, and we'll be making conscious efforts in this direction so that innovation changes the face of disability. We have with us today Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, who's the Mission Director of Atal Innovation Mission. We have with us Ms. Ritu Sen, who is the Director in Department of School Education and Literacy from Ministry of Education. We have Professor PVM Rao from the Department of Mechanical Engineering and Design at Iit Delhi. And our special guest for an inspirational talk, Mr. Deependra Manocha, who is the Director Developing Countries Program and Lead of Training and Tech Support with DAISY Consortium. He has achieved a lot and has a great story to share with us. In addition, we also have ATL students who will be sharing their success stories as part of our event today. We're very excited to be doing this together with Ministry of Education. And with that, I'll open up this session and request Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, Mission Director, Atal Innovation Mission, to speak a few words and take this event forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipali. I hope you can all hear me okay. Yes. Okay. All right. So, well, greetings, everybody, on this International Day of Persons with Disabilities. It is really a humbling moment for me that along with friends, Miss Ritu Sen, Dr. Manocha, Professor Rao, and others, we're today taking a formal pledge of sorts to consciously extend Atal Tinkering Labs a platform to those who most deserve it. That is the people who, despite various limitations, have not deterred by any hardship faced in their lives and have continued to tinker and innovate. I used, well, so as such, this platform was always open to everybody, but we are today taking a pledge to really make a more sort of concerted effort to extend it to all people. Dipali used the word consciously. I also use the word consciously. I'll say more about it, why this word really matters in terms of extending this platform. Before we go there, let me just first say what this platform is, just so that we're all on the same page. Atal Tinkering Labs, as many of you know, these are maker spaces in schools. These are places with 3D printers, electronic benches, other equipment where your ideas can come to life in terms of products and so on. And this initiative has by now built close to 9,300 or so Atal Tinkering Labs all over the country, so that young minds can continue to be creative and bring out their imaginations into objects. Now, I said that word consciously extending is important here because if you ask a question, what does this lab fundamentally do? At one level, these labs offer a new dimension along which people with their different learning styles and capabilities can explore further. Let me say that again. These labs offer a dimension, a new dimension, along which people with their different learning styles and capabilities can explore further. So from this perspective, if you think about it, each of us comes with some limitation and then some capabilities that compensate for that those limitations, right? So in consciously extending this platform to as many such limitations as known to us, we are putting such a platform to its real use. From any angle you look at such a collaboration between Atal Innovation Mission and Ministry of Education, it's a great step forward. I mean, you think, if you like, you can think about this 75th year of independence. That's one way to celebrate it. You can think about self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat, another way to celebrate it. You can think about upholding human rights, sustainable development. You can think about investment in a common future. All of these are ways in which we can celebrate this coming together of these two great agencies. Atal Innovation Mission and ATLs, they hope to bring 21st century sort of technology and innovation skills through such a platform where people can tinker and self-learn and so on. So in closing, let me just say that it's a great joy that we're taking this step forward together. And with that, let me turn us to Bhuvika Agarwal from St. John's Universal School, who is a tinkerer at an ATL lab, who we'll hear from the next. Thank you. We're going to a video now, right? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Bhuvika Agrawal, and today I'm going to talk about my journey in my school. My journey in St. John's has been very much exciting with loads of fun. The principal and all the teachers were very supportive and kind and made me believe that kindness does exist in this world. All my teachers made sure that I get equal opportunity in everything I do, and also made sure that I understood each and every concept easily. In school, I also got the opportunity to participate in Atal Tinkering Lab, which taught me many new techniques in science and technology. I also got to learn many new programming languages through which I could make a game called Hangman for Eat. I also made lifelong friends who were very much empathetic and always ready to help me when the need arose. I successfully excelled in class 10 and am continuing further in science stream in ISC board. I look forward for many more happy moments and to learning a lot and wish to impart the same kindness to the world. Thank you.
And we have many more stories like that. We'll be sharing them as we proceed along the sessions. Next, we would request Ms. Ritu Sen to say a few words and share with us the conscious efforts that Ministry of Education is also making in this direction.
Thank you, Dipali. Thank you, Chintan. And my thanks to all of them who are making a little efforts to make this day actually a day not only for celebrating the ability of those who are differently abled, but also making many people aware about that they have very uh, different trajectory of life, but they can have a life full of opportunities and full of achievements. And we are very happy to have one panelist who has actually shown us, demonstrated through his life that it is possible. So for me, this day, this event is like one of those efforts where all of us come together to actually not only hope, but also to put efforts together that yes, it is possible, and all of us can contribute in whatever way, wherever we are, to make it possible. So on behalf of Ministry of Education, I convey my, not only my, but all of us who are working for this cause of enabling India and making society inclusive, that we are, committed to make it happen through our initiatives, through our programs, through our efforts. And particularly when we talk about school education, then here I would like to highlight that Ministry through Samagra Shiksha is making a lot of effort for all of those students who need this opportunity to go to schools, participate in learning, and make their life full of or make their potential realized. So in Samagra Shiksha, there is a dedicated component that is called inclusive education component, and through which we support children with special needs for their escorts, for their transport, and also give them, support to avail the opportunities which they are not able to avail without money. So, and all these are done through DBT. Other than that, we also support students with the aids devices and also with ICT interventions. But only providing this kind of support will not be enough until those who are meant to be the beneficiaries exercise this support. They use this support. And today I express the ministry's desire, resolve, and commitment that we are working hard to make it possible that all this support reaches to every student, every parent in every school. And to take this forward, I also appeal to teachers that today in the world of e-learning, there is nothing which we can't know about. There is nothing which we can't learn about. There is nothing which we can't equip ourselves with. So the government is making a lot of effort to train teachers on various dimensions of learning in the classroom, inclusive pedagogy, inclusive curriculum, and inclusive approaches. But what will make it happen? Ultimately, it'll happen only when every teacher is not only equipped with the skill set and training, but also willing to take it forward. And when we talk about teachers, then I remember all teachers, who supported us, who made our journey easy, who guided us all through. And now, when we talk about children with special needs or person with disabilities, the role of teachers become very, very critical. I appeal to all the teachers through this event that please come forward. It is not only money and resources we need. We also need change in our approach, change in our attitude, and we need to have this, example setting that yes, only by, opening the doors of the schools to the teachers, which we open the doors for change in lives. Many times in our schools, we are not able to, make our infrastructure accessible because that might require many of the resources. But those who wanted to make it happen, they have made it happen by making small, small changes, like keeping the classroom at ground floor. It didn't require much of the money. And recently I visited a lab which was at first floor and a lab which was at ground floor. And I saw the participation of children with special needs was very different. And it just required a little change and a thinking that, yes, this can be done. So idea is to reach out to more and more people and make it, a habit to wear the lens of inclusion, that whatever we are doing, is it accessible by all? Can it accommodate all kinds of needs? And in schools, if we nurture an environment which not only opens the opportunities of getting in, but also supports their participation, their uses. I'll like to give an example here, and I was very happy to see one school where even the playground was designed in such a way that all kinds of needs of children, they could go, they could play, and they had their own place in the ground. So by doing such things, we make our schools very, very inclusive. Other than that, because we are here talking about innovations, we are talking about participation, we are talking about 21st century skills. And I think the role which adult tinkering labs are playing is phenomenal. I have been to, one of the adult tinkering labs with the AIM team, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the kind of awareness and the kind of enthusiasm the children had. And I think it is very critical that the children with very different kind of learning needs are able to participate in such kind of avenues and express their creativity, express themselves through these kind of things. And not only a science, technology, art, but wherever they can. And I am very happy and thankful to Atal Innovation Mission that today, with this kind of event, they have decided consciously to wear this lens of inclusion and get it going not only here but across India through all adult tinkering labs. And my message to all my little angels in the adult tinkering labs, that please don't accept any limits. There is no limit. All the limits are in our minds. You can do anything, everything what you want to. And in the era of TED Talks, era of YouTube, we see so many stories where a child without legs, a child without hands, a child without eyes, and without many things is able to achieve what many people with all those things could not achieve. So when we say adult tinkering lab, when we say school, what are these places? These are the places for unfolding the potential inside. These are the places where that ability inside you comes out and expresses itself. These are the places where you get an environment where you can be what you want to be. And we all are there with you. We all are working relentlessly so that you and children like you can avail those opportunities. And lastly, I would also compliment the efforts put in by all our teachers, all our special educators, all our mentors, all our, the Adult Tinkering Lab uh, motivators, and you all, the students, your peers, who are making a new India possible. I mean, it's not that we are dreaming big. It's that we are moving towards that big dream. And each day when we decide that we are not going to accept the disability, the labeling, the limit, every moment when we are deciding that, we are making a move towards that big dream. And every day when a parent is deciding that his or her child is playing with a child with different needs, we are making that move forward. And every day a school teacher who opens the door or who welcomes the students with different needs along with the other students, we make a step towards that big dream of having an inclusive society. And I would mention National Education Policy 2020 here, which gives this mandate to all of us in our capacity, in our individual capacity, in our official capacity, that all of us can not only make those steps, but we are also mandated to take those steps. And lastly, since I haven't spoken about the challenges you face, we often see them, but we don't talk about it. So today, I want to use this event also to share with our friends that there are enough provisions to make those challenges little easy, or to equip you and to enable you to face those challenges. And most of the time, because we are not aware about how to use them, what are they, we are not able to overcome our challenges. Many of our students are not able to complete their school journey because the support they require sometimes doesn't reach to them in time. So lastly, the point is, please know about them, use them, they are meant for you. Like support during examinations, scribe, extra time. This is for you. Use it and make your journey, achievable, reachable. So with all these words, and again with a deep gratitude and with a great hope, I will conclude that we all are there. We all are there in our capacities, in official capacities, in our personal capacities, to support wherever you need. Please reach out to us in whatever difficulties, in whatever opportunities you feel that we can support, and we would be there. Thank you so much for inviting me as a panelist, along with very eminent personalities who are working in the field. Thank you, Dipali, and thank you, Chintan, for making this event on this day when it is most needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ritu Sen. And those are really inspiring words. At least on behalf of AIM, I can say we take that pledge of wearing that lens of inclusivity, and we'll be more conscious, like you've always encouraged us to be. And we will continue those efforts. Thank you so much. We now have another student sharing her story with us. We have Yashaswini Vannapalli from ZPHS from Andhra Pradesh. She's an ATL student, and we'll hear her story.
My name is Tatati. I'm in class 11. Eko pan, eko pal, eko lopa. It am a hit young or surprise.
Yeah, that's worth an applause. All these inspiring stories and students and the great, phenomenal work that they're doing in the ATL labs. We applaud and salute to their efforts and to all their innovations. Next, I would like to request our special guest for today, Mr. Deependra Manocha, to share a few words with us and inspire our audience. Mr. Deependra Manocha is working as the Director Developing Countries Program and is the lead of training and tech support with DAISY Consortium that works towards providing publications in accessible formats to persons with print disabilities. He's president of the DAISY Forum of India. He is founder trustee of Saksham and the vice president of Delhi State Branch of the National Association for the Blind. He's a key partner in the Assistive Lab of Iit Delhi and is involved in development of assistive technology for persons with blindness. He is member of Braille Council of India and Ashok Fellow. He is received the National Award, IBN Super Idol Award, and IM Lucknow Leadership Award. Many more accolades to his name, and we're very pleased and glad to have you, Mr. Manocha, for this event today. Over to you to share your thoughts and inspire our young innovators.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for including me in this wonderful event. Especially, it's always very, very heartening and extremely inspiring and motivating when we are speaking to the young minds and the young children who are our future inventors, and maybe not in so distant future, but very soon, very recent future inventors, possible inventors which are there. And it gives me great pleasure being part of this event, especially on this very special day of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Well, this day, of course, we celebrate abilities of persons with disabilities. So we forget about the dis part and we only remember and we highlight the remaining, which is the ability part. We celebrate this acknowledging certain key aspects and the key principles, uh, which will put these things in right perspective, actually. So the first thing that we would want to first of all say, that there's this game of numbers all the time, but these are, as we will go along with our presentation, we will realize that this game of numbers is so irrelevant that we are talking about. So although these numbers are there, the persons with disabilities, how many people are we talking about? WHO says that in any society, in any country like India, there are about almost 15% of persons with disabilities out of the total population. But that is a game of definition. Whom do we actually include as persons with disability? But if we go by the Indian definitions and Indian perspectives, the total number of persons with disabilities in India would be at about 2%. But yes, that number is obviously to change, because when this counting happened, we acknowledged about 7 different conditions to be included. But now, after 2016, we acknowledge 21 different conditions. So this number obviously is going to change whenever we count next. And uh, these are all legal definition of disabilities. People who need accommodations. I'll come to that part. People who need accommodations obviously doesn't fall into any legal definition. Almost everybody, a very large population, would actually need some accommodation at one point or the other. And whatever we build, keeping this thing in mind, that will actually get used by a much larger population and not just by persons with disabilities. I think that is a very important thing to understand, that whenever we design and create things for persons with disabilities, it is not just going to be used by that specific number. It is actually going to be used by a much larger number. And why? Because I will just highlight on that. So I think I'll be moving out of my slide thing because what the way we have spoken, I don't think I'll be following all the slides that I'm trying to show here. But there are certain key principles here. Let me talk about them. First thing is universal design. Now, when we try to find a solution for any problem, so so let's begin at that. Finding solution for a problem. How do we define a problem? Uh, as human beings, all of us have certain limitations. The human body is not limitless; it has its limitation. For example, how fast can a human being actually travel? So if we don't use technology just by ourselves, without using our own legs, that limit would be just about, say, 15 kilometers in an hour, using very fast walking or running. But that's the limit. But obviously, we will not be able to reach anywhere where we want to reach today, because when we bring in, bicycles, bullock carts, cars, and all those automobiles, and even aeroplane, and certainly we find that instead of 15 kilometers in an hour, we can actually travel almost 800 kilometers in an hour. We can go up to those speeds today, and who knows, tomorrow that limit will actually increase to double or triple, whatever. So we use technology, we use tools to enhance our capabilities as human beings. So there is limitation for all of us for whatever we do. Each and every sensory organs, physical organs that we have their limitation, and then we use technology to enhance the capability of each and everything of it. So if we with our naked eye, wherever we are able to see, we add telescopes, we add other things to see much farther than where we can sort of see. We use television to see things where we are physically not present. So all those things we do. But the same thing now, if you look at the definition of disability, what is the definition of disability? It just talks about functional limitation. It says disability is the functional limitation caused by any impairment. Like if I cannot see, or if I see less than the rest of the people, then I am counted as person with disability. But what I am saying is that all of us actually see less. That is why we need binoculars. That's why we need telescopes. That's why we need televisions. So, so where is the difference? Difference is that I may start using technology slightly at a much earlier stage than the rest of the people. That's all the difference is. So, we use technology to overcome functional limitations. And whatever we are defining as disability is something that can actually be overcome. We can remove the impact of disability from each and every person's life. We can lead so-called normal life. What is normal life? We study like everybody else. We work like everybody else. We enjoy our lives. We go to holidays. We get married. We have relationships, and we do everything like everybody else. What is it that is stopping us from doing it? And these are, as a technologist, as a person who's sitting in that tinkering lab, it's just an unsolved problem that this limitation comes. Wherever there is a problem, we need to work out a solution, and we can remove that limitation, and we can remove that impact of disability from that. Number two, disability is nothing else but another form of diversity. So for example, when we design a car, do you think that car would be successful if it was drivable only by the men? We all know that men by nature would have greater physical strength than women. But when we design a car, we design those components to drive the car, the clutches and the brakes are operable by that so-called slightly limited physical strength of a woman in comparison to a man. Because if we design something which is as hard, which can only be pressed by a man and not by a woman, we are eliminating the usage of that by half of the population. So we are reducing our clientele. We are making it unusable by all. And by that, I mean, obviously, all of us know, I don't need to say that, that's not a wise thing to do. And so, like there is this diversity of man and a women who have their own attributes, there is also diversity of language, of somebody being taller, somebody being shorter, of we belonging to different religious groups or living in different geographical regions. Similarly, one more attribute is that there will be some people whose listening power would be slightly less than the others, or may not be able to listen at all, but then they would have other capability. Similarly, somebody's hands may not function as powerfully as the rest of us. But these are all little diversities. We just have to see it as a diversity. Don't try to make it a whole hawa out of it, a big thing out of it, that, oh my God, that person can't see. Oh, come on, what's the big deal? If we are looking at it just as a diversity, there's nothing to fear about. All that we have to do is to have our environment which provides, I'm bringing another very key terminology here, which provides reasonable accommodation. When we design things, when we do things, whenever we are studying, for example, I just need a little bit that environment, that facility to be able to operate within that classroom, within that tinkering lab, within that workplace. I just need the right environment to be able to be functional. I may need some different tools to work. I may need, simply like what Rituji was saying, maybe just a little bit of an extra time to complete what rest of the people are completing in 3 hours. Maybe I'll do it in 3.5 hours. All that is all the accommodation that I need, maybe at times. So the accommodation becomes the key factor in taking care of the diversity that we are talking about. We do provide accommodation to several other diversities. Similarly, these accommodations need to be extended or identified and provided for persons with disabilities. So, how do we know what are the needs? So that's next question. How do we know? The obviously there are certain key industry standards. There are things that we that have been brought in into play. And if we follow those standards, we make sure, like for example, if we are creating a website, simple thing, we just follow some guidelines, a web content accessibility guideline. We don't need to understand that, oh, how would a person with autism actually use it? How would a person with blindness going to use it? It may not be possible for everybody of us to understand each and every requirement of all persons with disability. What do we have to look at? If we follow web content accessibility guidelines, our website will be usable by all. So that becomes slightly easier and achievable task instead of trying to see what each and every person. But let's come to solution, problem solving and solution part. There's one more key word mentioned here in this slide, which is universal design. That's the first thing. Um, so whenever we talk about solutions, say if I have to have a phone that a person with blindness can use. Now, there are two ways of solving it. One is that I create a special phone which will be usable by me as a blind person. But there is another thing, that I design the phone that is used by everybody in a way that is usable by me. It's a big difference. Making a special solution for persons with disabilities versus making something which is usable by, which is being used by everybody, also usable by persons with disabilities. So this is the second approach, which is called universal design, that we make our products and design our services in a way which are usable by all. So for example, yes, we started by creating the phone example I'll take. The phone itself, earlier we used to have a special phone for persons with blindness, a mobile phone. It reached maybe just about 100 people in our whole country. It was so expensive because the scale of production was low and hardly anybody could afford it. And especially for our Indian languages, we could not make it compatible because the numbers, simply numbers, were not enough to invest that kind of a money to add all those facilities in that phone. Now, what is the stage? You pick up any of your smartphones, whether you have an Android phone or an iPhone or an iOS device, you go to the settings, you get into accessibility settings there. All of you can try this out, not during this presentation because otherwise you will get lost. But keep it as your homework after this. Go into settings, go into accessibility, and have a look at all the features that are built in there. I can simply switch in something called TalkBack, and the phone becomes a speech-enabled phone. It starts speaking out everything which is there on the screen. If I go to any computer which is running Microsoft Windows on it, I can simply press Control Windows key and enter, and suddenly the speech starts coming out. So it's the same device everywhere else. I don't have to do much in it. I just have to switch on that thing in these devices to make them a computer for the blind or a phone for the blind. And now the cost of this whole thing actually comes down drastically. Something which earlier used to cost us about 30,000-40,000 rupees, suddenly all that is now available in 5,000-6,000 rupees. That's the kind of difference that comes in when we talk of building solutions in the mainstream products instead of trying to build solutions separately for persons with disabilities. But yes, there will be some devices, some solutions which will have to be designed separately. Like for my mobility, we designed a smart cane. Obviously, this is not something that nobody is using a cane for mobility, right? So we have to give this special device in the hands so that I can operate in the environment. So these special devices which are required to enhance my capabilities are we call them assistive technology devices. But then these assistive technology devices also would not work independently. It's not that I give a magical device to a person and suddenly I start seeing everything around. So all these special glasses or things that will come in, they interact with the environment. And unless the universal environment, the basic built infrastructure, the basic software, the basic apps that all of us are using, the whole same banking apps or the Google Maps, or you talk of any of these things, unless these mainstream devices are designed that allow assistive technology work with them, my assistive technology will not work. It's useless unless the environment that they operate in are also made accessible. So this is a story of where we are, of how the solution building actually works. The first and the foremost is build solutions keeping in mind that it should become part of the mainstream solution and not a separate thing, not an afterthought. Secondly, treat this as a diversity, simple diversity. Whenever we are designing, as I said, you would not start designing something just for females and just for males. Like most of these things, unless they are specifically meeting the needs of that particular category, of course you will make things specially for women. I mean, while making dresses, we would not make dresses which are equally usable by men and women. But we are talking, I mean, obviously we would understand we are talking about cars or these sorts, several other solutions that we will make, but we will make sure that it takes care of the diversity. In the same way, let's take care of the diversity which is called disability. And as I said, something which is designed for disability is going to be usable by all. It's going to be convenient for all. So when I say that, what it means is that technology and the solution which can be an enabler for me, like it can be an easier thing to use for everybody else. So something which is enabler for me is convenience for everybody else. As I said, again taking that car example, if the brake of that car can be used with the minimum force, it's not that the male people would still need to apply that force, they can also use it and maybe use it more conveniently. So same way, like the screen reading software and the app that I use for newspapers, I it becomes an enabler. Without this talkback and the newspaper app, the normal paper newspaper is not usable by me. So that is where I said it's an enabler. So this when this technology came, suddenly that day I could start reading newspapers. Before that, it was not possible for me to read newspapers. I had to depend on somebody else to read it out to me. So it's an enabler for me, but it's a convenience for everybody else. This app is not just designed for persons with disabilities. It has been designed because this app actually provides updated newspaper thing, and you don't have to wait for this newspaper to land in your balcony every day in the morning. It's there in your hands, in your pocket every time. So it's a convenience for everybody else, but it's an enabler for me. So, so whatever we design, keeping in mind persons with disabilities, it's going to be enabler for me, but it's going to be a convenience for everybody else also. It's going to be usable by all. So I think I'll stop there and let's do our further discussions. And it's an exciting world. It's really an exciting world. You'll be surprised to see the excitement when you see when you remove one of these limitations, because suddenly in a day I was not able to do something and suddenly a new innovation comes and I'm able to, my that functional limitation is gone, and that enables me to uh, you know maybe today I'm not able to drive a car, but tomorrow I may be. Who knows what kind of technologies are coming up. Um, in any case, a person with blindness is able to fly a plane because nobody looks out of the windscreen to drive a plane. They look at the control panels there. And yes, so sky is the limit. We can overcome so many challenges. And thank you so much for the patience listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manocha. It was truly inspiring, not just your talk today, but all the wonderful work you're doing in this field for many more people who will benefit from all your work. Thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your words and thoughts. With that, we'll hear from another student from our ATLs. We'll hear another story from Ravi Teja from Bright Stars High School from Telangana.
My name is Ravi Teja. I'm studying in 6th class in Bristol High School. My principal, my ATL in charge gave me the equal chances which other students have. I learned many things in ATL. I faced some problems in learning programming. Arduino, B-Box, Raspberry Pi, and Plasmo. My ATL in charge has supported me. She always been positive and motivate to everyone. I made 5 projects in ATL. First one is grass cutter. It helps us to cut the grass easily. Second one is bike indicator. With B-box is useful to blind and deaf people. Third one is smart piano with Arduino. Smart piano is useful in entertainment purpose. Fourth one is distance calculator with Arduino. Distance calculator helps us to calculate the distance of object easily. Fifth one is I created a quiz app by using Plasma. It helps us to increase our knowledge. Thank you.
All these students and the stories that you heard, they're all differently abled and they are creating innovations in the ATL labs at par with any other child and even better. So we're very proud of all the efforts and work being done in these schools and the teachers and mentors who are guiding them and supporting them. We thank you and we salute you for your efforts and making a conscious effort in this direction by guiding such students, and they've come a long way. We're very proud to see their achievements. And with that, let me call upon another esteemed guest with us today, Professor Rao from Iit Delhi, who's also been involved in a lot of this work in a conscious way. And Professor Rao, thank you so much for joining us for this session today. And we'd like to hear from you your thoughts on how IIT Delhi is making conscious efforts in this direction, especially in terms of assistive technology, and also how design thinking can actually, how we can use design thinking as a module to really inculcate these skills among students with different needs.
Good evening, and thanks for this opportunity. And I think all of us, we heard Mr. Deependra Manocha discussing about his thoughts. And one of the things which he actually mentioned is assistive technology. So assistive technology is something which is probably is not only used for basically the functional aspects, but it is much more than that. So what assistive technology enables is basically it empowers people to be independent and also participate in all the activities as Mr. Manocha and Ms. Ritu mentioned. So what we do at IIT Delhi is that we develop various assistive technologies. This is for people with various disabilities. Most of it is for people with visual disabilities. And we are actually looking at two aspects: how to make people to be independently mobile. Like one of the products which Manocha ji mentioned is a smart cane, which was developed here. And also in the space of education. So what I'll do is I'll quickly share one of the assistive technologies just as an example for students, teacher, and schools and other people to just see. For example, one of the things which we do at IIT Delhi is how do you make pictures accessible to students who are visually challenged and visually blind. Because what happens in India is that many of the students are not able to get the books with pictures. Usually text you are able to read because text can be converted to speech or text can be converted to braille. But I think the moment you have a picture, it becomes inaccessible. But if books can be created where you can also access both text and picture, it would be a wonderful, and it's like a complete book for anybody who is visually challenged. So one of the things which we do is to design, which you see here. There are two sample tactile diagrams, which are actually prepared in a thin plastic sheet with an embossing. And what are the tactile diagrams is? Tactile diagrams is something where you don't see, but you actually touch and experience the pictorial content. So you can actually explore, for example, if I want to look at an Indian map, I can touch the boundary of an Indian map. I can touch boundaries of various states. I know where the states are located, and I can learn about geography by touching, let's say, a map rather than seeing it. And it makes people with visually challenged to participate and be independent in their studies. So we have developed quite a few books, about 40 books so far. And if any of tinkering labs or schools are interested to study, particularly science and math subjects, particularly if it is related to NCERT, now we have all the science and maths books which are available for students with visually blind to do their maths and science courses. Earlier, people never used to go to these courses because these were not accessible, but I think now it's possible. But I think the number of people we were able to reach out is very, very small. It has to reach out to a very large number. And I think our next step would be that how do we reach out to every student who actually needs a tactile book. Coming to the second aspect, whenever you come up with a solution like this is one of the examples of an assistive technology. Whenever you come up with an assistive technology, we also use something which is called as a design thinking, which Deepali mentioned. Design thinking is basically a systematic way of solving any problem, considering all aspects of the problem, and also look at that if the problem or if the solution is going to fail because of, let's say, 100 reasons, I eliminate all the 100, not the 99. So in other words, whatever is the obstacle which will prevent people to use a solution are all undertaken, are all addressed as a part of a design thinking process. And this is actually required, very essential for assistive technology. Why is it essential, such an approach? Is first thing is assistive technologies have multiple dimensions. There is a technology dimensions, there is a medical dimension, there is a social aspects of it, which you heard from Manocha ji. There is a design dimension and there is a business because it has to reach everybody. So since it covers multiple dimensions, a design thinking approach basically looks at all the 5 aspects which are very essential. And we not only make products, but we are also now trying to look at how to make basically people aware of existence of such products and how can they reach is actually a more important. And that is why we actually work with 5 P's, which are called as people with disabilities and the products. And there are various policies and provisions which government and other organizations would have. And also one very important thing is we also work with special educators and people who are like assistive technology experts so that all aspects related to assistive technology are addressed. And my last message to all the people who are listening is basically 2. One is that there are many assistive technology solutions which can be developed within Atal Tinkering Labs. Okay. So the only thing is, I think if the students are very conscious of the limitations of their fellow students, if there are any, it's always possible to address those solutions and build solutions within Atal Tinkering Labs. And we also had few examples where Atal Tinkering Labs coming up with wonderful solutions. So please look at that particular aspect clearly is one. And second thing is, in case if you want to, if you have any specific problem which you think that it's you are not able to address, please mail it to any one of us who are here today, and we will actually work with you to see that any new assistive technology, if it is required, can be created. So I think the purpose of this meeting is also to see that we communicate with each other, not only for this 1 hour, but also beyond this, so that more assistive technologies can be developed in India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Rao. And indeed, I second what you said, and on behalf of AIM, urge all the ATL students and teachers to consciously think in this direction and think about their peer group, think about people who may have special needs, and think about solutions that we could develop in an ATL lab for them. And the team here is here to support you if you need any other assistance in developing your solution or innovation. Thank you so much. With that, I request Dr. Chintan Vaishnav to share his closing thoughts and close the ceremony.
Thank you very much, Dipali. This has been a very educational session for me, I must say, from each of the speakers and the videos that we played of students as to what they've gone on to. Actually, I also should say that I knew about Yashaswini and I always talked about her EcoPen, but I didn't know that she had a disability actually. So this is, I mean, I was a little surprised to see that video. So this is, so once again, let me just say that we are making a beginning in extending the Atal Tinkering Lab infrastructure in a way where we can be inclusive and use its full potential to design for to engage in universal design, as Mr. Manocha said, and I third now that Dipali has seconded, I third the idea that please write to us if you need any assistance, and we are here to work with you and take this journey with you together. So once again, thanks a lot for joining this session, and we look forward to working together.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chintan. Thank you, Ms. Ritu. Thank you, Professor Rao. And thank you so much, our special guest, Mr. Manocha. Thank you for joining us today. And a big thank you to all the teachers, students, and commendable innovations from our specially abled students and sharing their stories. With that, we'll close this session and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. We'll continue talking about this topic and we'll continue making our efforts in this direction. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.